Expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of Salem Communications, staff, management, or advertisers. Activist Radio is on the air. You have tuned into the Mark Harrington Show, sponsored by Created Equal. Mark is training a new generation of leaders to take on the culture of death and win.
You don't like abortion, don't have one.
The only thing that can be said to be objective truth is that there is no objective truth.
It does come out in one piece. It comes out in one piece.
I would argue that we certainly are not all created equal.
And now, here's Mark.
Have you ever heard of a post-birth abortion? A post-birth abortion. Have you ever heard of the term? Well, I've coined it. Basically, what people have been calling it is infanticide, killing born children. But it's really just a post-birth abortion. You're listening to your radio activist here on the Mark Harrington Show, coming to you from our Created Equal studios here in Columbus, Ohio, and coming to you over these Salem radio stations as well on my social media platforms. You can find out more about our program at markharrington.org. So, post-birth abortions. That's not what the mainstream media is calling them, but that's been in the news recently. I talked about it last week on the program a little bit. And this week, on Monday, 44 Democrats voted to not permit medical professionals to give life-saving care to children that were born alive after an abortion. They survived their abortion. Let me say that again. 44 Democrats, all but 3 of them. There are 47 in the United States Senate right now. 44 of them voted to restrain, to restrict, to prohibit medical care from a medical doctor, supposedly, to give medical care to a baby that has survived an abortion. Now, you know, I'm not sure anything shocks us anymore. And I've been doing this for over 20 years. But I can tell you this, I've never seen anything like this, folks. I mean, we've reached a new low in America. And, you know, hopefully you as a Christian, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, you don't just yawn at this and move on. This is unprecedented. So I'm going to speak about this today, and I want to talk to you. If you're a Democrat, okay, if you are a registered Democrat or you identify as a Democrat, I'm aiming this first part of the segment, at least, or the show on at you. The bottom line is this. You cannot be a Democrat and call yourself a Christian, or the other way around. It just doesn't work. Democrats are evil. I mean, the leadership, let's say, the rank and file, you know, they don't know maybe what's going on entirely. But the Democrat Party is evil. They're supporting the killing of born children now. It's not just abortion, although there's really no difference between a born child and an unborn child other than age. But they're not just supporting abortion now. It's not just a woman's right to choose. It's a woman's right to have a dead baby. That's what is happening now. 44 Democrats voted to restrict or prohibit giving medical care to a baby that has survived abortion. This is barbaric, folks. And like I say, if you're a Democrat, I exhort you, you've got to get out of the Democrat. I mean, you've got to get out of the Democrat Party. I'm not saying you got to be a Republican or whatever, but you need to renounce your allegiance to the Democrat Party. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. How can we, or anyone who claims the name of Christ, be part of a party that's okay with killing born children? I just don't get it. To vote Democrat today is to sin against God. It just is. You know, years ago we could have said, well, you know, there were what we call blue dog Democrats. They were pro-life. Well, they don't exist anymore. They're the dinosaur. They don't exist in Washington. They really even don't exist in our state legislatures. They've been purged from the party because if you don't toe the party line on abortion, and now if you don't toe the party line on infanticide, you are going to not receive any funding, any support from the Democrat National Committee. So if you're a Democrat and you're listening to the sound of my voice and you claim the name of Christ, you got to renounce that allegiance with the Democrat Party. So we're going to talk about that today. By the way, 6 of the 44 Democrats are running for president. We've got 6 out of these 44, 6 of our presidential candidates on the Democrat side now support infanticide. They support post-birth abortions. They're running for president. They want to take they want to be in the Oval Office, the highest office in the land, the President of the United States. They want to be in that position, and they support the killing of born children. I mean, it's really unbelievable, folks, that we've reached this point. And I know you might be thinking, oh, I've heard all this before. No, this is new. This is new. We're reaching a new low. It's time to be outraged, folks. And so I'm going to hopefully get you motivated, get you to get active and do something about it. So if you don't believe me, okay, I'm going to play a clip here. This is a clip from Sherrod Brown. He's a U.S. Senator here in Ohio. We're disgraced that we have a guy like this in office. But Sherrod Brown, who's also, he hasn't officially announced he's running for president, but it's going to be a done deal. He's going to run for president. But he was quoted. Here, we're going to play a clip, and this was him before he went to the Senate floor to cast a vote against protecting born children from post-birth abortions. Go ahead and play that clip.
I'm heading to the Senate floor to vote no. Mitch McConnell's playing games again. This time he's playing games with women's health and restricting women's right to choose. It's wrong. It's more divisive, bad politics. Mitch McConnell should do something to help people get insurance, not take insurance, not take health care, not take choice away from women.
Isn't that funny? So it's about the women's rights to choose, see? Sherrod Brown thinks protecting born children from murder is about the women's right to choose. What does it have to do with that? The baby's born. Let the baby live. Let's give the baby medical care. What does that have to do with the woman's right to choose to do what she wishes with her own body? The body of the baby's out of the body of the woman. It's not about women's health care. Also, he talks about, this is a political game that Mitch McConnell's playing. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is about lives. It's about where do we stand as the American people. And where do the Democrats stand on post-birth abortions? That's what this is about. I'm glad Mitch McConnell did it. I know you could say it's a show vote, but now they're all on record as supporting post-birth abortions. Let it be known across the land that the Democrat Party is not just for abortion, not for a women's right to choose, but for post-birth abortions, infanticide, killing babies that are born that have survived an abortion. Additionally, Elizabeth Warren tweeted this. Let me read her tweet. She's also, at least, I think she's declared that she's running for president. She said in a tweet, women and their doctors should decide what's best for their health. What does this have to do with that? These folks are for universal health care. They got Obamacare. Now they're saying everybody needs to get universal health care. But it doesn't pertain to the children, the born children. What about their health care? They're for universal health care. They just want to exclude born children now. How is that universal? Anyway, let's, what I want to do here, because the Democrats will say that, well, this doesn't really happen. Really, there's no such thing as infanticide. There's no such thing as babies surviving a post-birth abortion or abortion altogether. It doesn't happen. Well, let me. A couple people beg to differ. Melissa Ohden and Gianna Jessen both are survivors of abortion. Okay, they're both survivors of abortion. There are other survivors that have been speaking out. But what I want to do here is I'm going to read to you some of the statistics from the Centers for Disease Control on this idea of post-birth abortions, all right? So according to the Centers for Disease Control, nationwide, between 2003 and 2014, at least 143 babies died after being born alive during a botched abortion, okay? And the CDC states that this could be an underestimation. In 2018, 16 infants in Florida alone were born alive after surviving abortion attempts. So here it is. We've got this has come from the CDC. It's not a pro-life, organization. These aren't statistics coming from our side. This is coming from the Centers for Disease Control. 143 babies died after being born alive during botched. What is a botched abortion, by the way? It's an abortion where you don't kill the baby. Think about that. It didn't succeed in killing the baby. That's a botched abortion. 2003 to 2014, 143 babies died, and 16 in 2018 in Florida died as a result of a botched abortion because they didn't use medical care to save the life of the baby. So this is what's going on, folks. It's the truth of the matter. We in America now, at least the Democrat Party, the leadership of the party, support post-birth abortions. And what I want to ask is, whatever happened to the 14th Amendment? The 14th Amendment. Let me read that to you, if you don't mind here. It says this: all persons born and naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. And then it says, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So the 14th Amendment says all persons born are citizens of the United States, and therefore due the protections of this amendment that says that they should not be deprived life, liberty, or the pursuit of, or without due process. So these babies are born. Their protection's already intact, or should be, as a result of this amendment. Now, of course, this amendment is the one that Harry Blackman said the word person doesn't pertain to the unborn, and that's what legalized abortion. But this is what we ought to be taking to our state senator, our U.S. senators right now, and kind of reading this back to them and say, wait a minute. These children are born. They survived an abortion, and according to the 14th Amendment, all persons born and naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States. So, legally speaking, constitutionally speaking, these children are born, should be protected. Now, if that's not bad enough, we've got late-term abortion, which has been making news across America. Of course, with the beginning of that was in New York State when Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, passed a law basically legalizing late-term abortion up to the very moment of birth. And what they use in this process of killing a late-term baby, and by the way, they do it for second trimester abortions too, is they use a process that causes a heart attack, basically. They stick a needle into the baby, into the mother's abdomen, find the baby's heart or brain, and inject digoxin or some potassium chloride into the baby's body, which causes a heart attack. These late-term abortions are heart attack abortions. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Let that settle in. Now, I've never had a heart attack. I know some folks who have and survived. But I can't imagine going through it. I can't imagine that happening to someone, let alone a baby that's quietly, just going about their business in a mother's womb, all of a sudden having a needle injected into their heart or head, and then having a heart attack and dying. Can you imagine? Now, let me read to you what this is, this heart attack abortion, okay? It says this. They call it induction, the induction method, which is a late-term abortion method. The induction of fetal demise. How do you like that word? Fetal demise. Let that one sink in. You know, we don't want to say the induction of the baby's death or killing or murder. We use the word fetal demise. Doesn't that sound so nice, so clinical? It's just so nice. The medical terms that we use to justify and describe babies being murdered. The induction of fetal demise has been used before both surgical and medical second trimester abortions. Intercardiac, that means heart, potassium chloride, and intrafetal or intraamniotic digoxin, which is a drug that injected into the baby's heart will kill them. Injections are the pharmacological agents used most often to induce fetal demise. This is a medical journal describing late-term abortion and what's done. A needle's injected into the mother's abdomen, into the brain or head. Potassium chloride is then injected into the mother through the and digoxin through the needle, and the baby dies of a heart attack. It's a heart attack abortion. Now, my good friend Kristen Hawkins came up with this term the other day, and I thought this is genius because it's actually what it is. It's not just injecting a baby's heart with a heart attack inducing drug. This is a heart attack abortion because that's what kills them. It's the digoxin or the potassium chloride that kills the baby by causing a heart attack. Fetal demise, they call it. Fetal demise. Isn't it nice that we can just sterilize all of the killing by using terms like that? I mean, folks, let me just say this. If you claim the name of Jesus Christ and you're not doing anything to stop this, shame on you. Shame on you. We're going to give you an opportunity. You can join up with us. We're an organization that can put you on the ground doing things that can make an effect and can really affect the abortion debate directly. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're sickened by what I'm telling you, which I hope you are, you're sickened that we're allowing post-birth abortions. You're sickened that 44 Democrats in the U.S. Senate basically voted to deprive a baby medical care who's been born and survived a abortion. If you're sickened that we're using potassium chloride and digoxin to induce a heart attack in a late-term baby, a heart attack abortion, if you're bothered by that in any way, I want you to contact me. Go to markharrington.org. I want you to email me and say, Mark, I hear what you're saying. We got to do something. We can't just sit back anymore. How can we sit back now at this late hour and let this happen without rising up against it? Now, you can call your senator. I'd say go ahead and do that. But seriously, folks, this takes a little more than that. You're just going to call your senator and say, hey, Senator such and so, don't kill babies that have been born after an abortion. Please don't do that. I mean, the fact that we didn't even have to plead with our senators to not do that is beyond belief. Frankly, we've lost control of our government, folks. It's time to get it back, but the way you get it back is one heart at a time, one person at a time. And the place to start is in the Christian church. The place to start was with your pastor. The place to start is with the pulpit, and then working out there into the culture. So we're willing to help you guys who are listening to the sound of my voice. Go to markharrington.org. I'm happy to come train you. I'm happy to come speak at your church. Motivate you to do more, get out there and fight the good fight because, folks, time is running short here. And if you're a Democrat and you claim Christ, folks, you got to denounce your registration. You got to make it public. You got to tell people. You got to let your representatives know I'm no longer a Democrat. I will no longer throw the lever for a party that is this evil, that'll sit back and allow a baby to die after an abortion. I'm just not going to support that anymore. And I also want to say, if you're a never Trumper, you're a guy that never voted or a gal that never voted for President Trump, I hope you're thinking that over again. I hope you're rethinking that. It's time to get behind the president. The president's doing everything he can, realistically, to bring an end to this bloodshed. So, go to markharrington.org. Now, let me just say this. It goes without saying that the Democrats have overreached here, and they're doing that on almost everything. They're extremists on immigration. They're extremists on abortion. They're extremists on everything, right? And it's starting to show up in the polls. And I, thank God. I mean, I can't imagine why it wouldn't. But here, according to a recent poll done by the Marist organization, they released its annual abortion survey, and they found that 38% of Americans consider themselves pro-life versus 55 pro-choice. This is just recently, okay? Now, the newest poll that just came out, and that's after all of this news about late-term abortion, heart attack abortions, post-birth abortions, all this stuff that's happening. Just recently, the poll showed that 80% of Americans want to limit abortion to the first 3 months of pregnancy, but Democrats can't even find a consensus to limit abortion. And went on to say that 47% of Americans identify as pro-life versus, 54% is it that identify, I'm sorry, it doesn't work out, 53% identify as pro-choice. So the numbers are changing, as they should. But you know what? We can't do polling on this stuff. Think about it. If children are dying because of post-birth abortions, and yet, let's say 80% of Americans support it, that doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, I'm going to stand up regardless. But the fact of the matter is we are actually seeing a movement which tells me something. If you focus on the baby, and we show the American people what the baby looks like and what abortion looks like, we can win this, folks. Because there are still enough folks that have a functioning conscience, I think, in America. They care enough. They don't want little babies who are born to be just lay there and die without getting medical attention. I think there are enough of us left that we can do something about that, I hope, irrespective of these polls. But anyway, these heart attack abortions, it's unbelievable. That's also happening, as well as the infanticide or post-birth abortion. So, folks, I want you to go to my website, markharrington.org, and I want you to email me and let me know you're in it. You're in the fight. You want to join up. You want to stand against this. You've heard enough. It's been 46 years. You might be sitting there thinking, what can we do? Well, you can do something. You can't just sit there anymore and let this go. I mean, we're going to have to answer to our Lord one day, all of us, when we meet him. And he's going to ask what you do during the American Holocaust. What did you do? Did you sit back and wring your hands and say, I can't do anything about it. It's none of my business. It's a political issue. It's not for us to be involved in. I don't see why I have to do anything about this. I just need to preach the gospel, be kind to my neighbor, attend church, be a good husband, be a good father. All those things are important. But if you're not standing up against the American Holocaust, post-birth abortions, folks, killing born children, if you won't rise up against that, I'm sorry. I'm not sure anything will get you to move. And I'm afraid that if the country doesn't rise up, if the church doesn't rise up in response to this, folks, I have to say, it might be too late for us. I don't want to go there. I don't. I mean, it doesn't change what I do. If it's too late for America, it's too late for the church. Doesn't change what I do. I've been given commission to go out and make disciples of the nations, teaching them to obey all that Jesus commanded us. That includes teaching about the prohibition of the shedding of innocent blood. We got to teach the whole counsel of God. The whole counsel of God. In a nation that kills its children, Christianity's got to look different. We got to be out there on the streets sharing the truth about abortion, sharing the truth about the gospel, and standing up against this insanity. So, I'm going to give you a phone number. If you live in the state of Ohio and you're listening to the sound of my voice, it matters to us. You're going to call our Senator Sherrod Brown, who we heard from here. And I know, just call him and tell him, hey, the 14th Amendment protects born children. It protects the born, persons born. Phone number is this, 202-224-2315. That's 202-224-2315. Contact Sherrod Brown, U.S. Senator, Ohio, and ask him, how in the world can you stand up and say that you will not protect children who have been born after an abortion, have survived it? So keep tuning in. I come to you every Saturday here over the air on Salem radio stations across America and on my social media platforms. You want to find out more about Mark Harrington's show and Created Equal, the organization I head up, go to markharrington.org and email me and say, Mark, I'm in with you. So we'll see you next time. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, America, to bless God.
You've been listening to Mark Harrington, your radio activist. For more information on how to become a witness against the evil plaguing America, call Created Equal at 614-269-7808, 614-269-7808, or go online to createdequal.net, createdequal.net. Be sure to tune to The Mark Harrington Show next time for your marching orders in the culture war.